Student 1. His name's Boy. Every April we would close the restaurant. I remember one boy sitting at the bar when we were about to reopen after the restaurant had closed for the Thai New Year. I didn't know who he was. In fact, I thought he was part of the draft beer brigade come to clean the beer pipes. Anyway, at 5 p.m. I called a staff meeting. We had new menu items to train and how to serve them. The boy was still sitting at the bar. I asked if anybody knew who he was, and one member of staff said, "Yeah, he's my friend." I told her it was a private staff meeting, to which she said, "Oh, well, he wants to work." This is just after the Thai New Year, low season for the next 6 months, hardly a time to take on new staff. I asked if he spoke English, and his friend said, "Yep, little bit." So I went over to him and asked his age. He told me he was 24. I said, "Do you have any experience?" He said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Oh, good. Where did you work?" He said, "I cooked in the temple at Mae Hon Song." "And when did you start there?" He said he was 9 years old. "And when did you finish working there?" He said, "Yesterday." Well, how could I refuse? He told me he didn't want money, he just wanted enough food to stop his stomach from rumbling. He stayed with us for 8 years, and we did pay him. A great chef, a wonderful team member and a great friend, and I'm happy to say that he's fully employed in a wonderful luxury hotel in Chiang Mai and thoroughly enjoying his life. Student 2. His name is Takwal. More recently, a young Myanmar man from Chin State, bordering India, had fled his village after witnessing killings by the military. He was lucky and found his way to Chiang Mai and landed a washing-up job in a restaurant kitchen, 8,000 baht a month. He heard about our course and applied. We took him on, and it quickly became obvious to me that this young man will become a very good chef. He was so keen to learn. At the end of the course, he was offered a position at a top-end restaurant run by a Michelin star-trained chef. He stayed working there for 1 year and then moved to another Michelin-recommended restaurant to learn advanced Thai cookery. After 6 months, he called me asking me to help him find a different position, as he felt he'd learned all there was to learn at his current employ. I helped him find a position, and he's working happily as a senior chef in a brigade of 10, earning enough money to support his family and pay for his upcoming wedding. Life-changing. Student 3, no name for this guy. We met this guy at the camp in Mae Sot, refugee camp. After a beer and a game of pool, he asked if he could work with me in Chiang Mai. After completing the legal requirements, he arrived in Chiang Mai. I won't drag this out, but suffice to say, since then, he held a sous chef's position in a kitchen of 9 in a Mercedes-Benz outlet in Yangon until the military wrecked everything again and Mercedes exited Myanmar. He returned to his family until the military came looking for him. He was quite the activist. He ran and managed to re-enter the kingdom with his passport, and I'm delighted to say that he is now working at the Fullerton Hotel in Singapore as chef de partie. He called to say thank you for helping him and his family. Student 4. Karen Hill tribe from a poor background and was sheltered by a foundation in Chiang Mai since she was a young girl. She attended the course and showed promise. We found an employer, but the restaurant was out of town. This meant finding a room to rent and starting her new life in an area where she doesn't know anybody. This might not sound like a big deal. However, having lived in a dormitory for most of her life, there is another hurdle to jump: loneliness. Family hundreds of miles away, living alone, first time renting accommodation, and starting a new job. Scary. However, her resilience and determination overcame her fears. I'm again pleased to say that 1 year on, she's still working at the same restaurant and enjoying life and supporting her family. Student 5. Our 5th student spent 2 weeks walking in a group of 13. Her family wanted to help her by sending her with this group to Thailand in the hopes of finding a safer life. Can you imagine having to make a decision to send your teenage daughter away hoping she had a better chance of staying alive, a better chance of survival? And imagine how a 15-year-old would be feeling being told to leave her family without knowing if she will ever see them again. She was 15 years old. She was shot at by the Burmese military. As she told me, there were people trying to hurt us. It was a long, arduous journey. Arriving at Mae Hon Song border, the group were allowed to stay in a temple. There are ways of transporting refugees to Chiang Mai, and with help, allowing them to stay legally. She worked as a nanny. She helped to clean houses. but the boss was not a kind employer. After 3 years, she saw a sign outside my restaurant for a cleaner. She applied. When the restaurant was quiet, she would clean and clean. When it was busy, I noticed her getting stuck in the kitchen, helping the chefs. Well, one day we had a special event and needed to make some bread rolls, croissants, large chocolate chip cookies, lots of different bits. The chefs were busy, so I started to teach her the basics of yeast-based bakery. She was a natural. She'd found her niche, and boy was she good at it. She stayed with us for 9 years and is still baking bread locally. Married with a 5-year-old son, her life has been transformed by one simple opportunity to improve her life. There are many others, some with terrible horror stories of experiences that they've endured. And when we're teaching these students, I do wonder how they keep smiling, focus, concentrate on homework, play, and remember stuff that we've taught them. It's just simply amazing the endurance and resilience of these young adults.